Wood, Oakland County Parks Commission. And can we have a roll call, please?
Sure. Could I have your name and where you're located, please? Commissioner Bagley?
Hi, here, Farmington Hills.
Commissioner Charles?
Everybody here in Southfield.
Sorry, I can't hear you.
Southfield?
No, still, can anybody hear her?
It's
can hear
on, but
her.
it's very faint. Can you turn it up? Your volume up, maybe?
I'm on the call. It's the parks.
Okay. I'll mark her as here and I'll get her location later. Commissioner Herzog?
Hi, here, Royal Oak.
Commissioner Costin?
Robert Costin, Clarkston, Michigan.
Mr. LaFontaine?
Andrea LaFontaine, Birmingham, Michigan.
Commissioner Long?
Here, Commerce Township.
Chairman McGilvery?
Here, Madison Heights.
Commissioner Nash?
Here in Farmington Hills.
Mr. Quarles? Commissioner Quarles, she was here earlier.
Her microphone is muted.
Hey, Nancy.
I need something over here just so you can
Just a second.
hold on.
Okay, thank you, Tom.
Commissioner Vanderveen?
Present, Waterford Township, Michigan.
We have 10 present, Chairman.
Thank you, Vicky. If we can all stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands,
Which it stands,
one nation,
one nation,
under God,
under God,
indivisible,
indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you.
Okay, next we have approval of the agenda, and we've got several reports that have been added. Under 9, under the consent agenda, we have the new financial reports that were emailed on February the 1st. We also have reports on bonding, which is 10A, and reports from Holly Oaks, which is 10F. And under reports for physical sustainability, we have an email that was sent to us with the golf information and Waterford Oaks wave pool. Is there a motion to approve the agenda?
A motion to approve.
Moved by Costin, supported by Quarles. Any discussions or corrections? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Hi.
Like sign for those opposed. Motion carries. Next, we have the approval of the minutes from the January 13th meeting on, is there a motion?
I'll move.
Moved by Vanderveen, supported by Quarles. Any discussions or corrections on the minutes? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
All right.
Aye.
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 Like sign for those opposed. Motion carries. Next is public comments. I understand we have one public comment.
We do currently have 2 callers on the public comment line. The first caller's first name is Lance. Lance, do I still have you on the line?
Yes, I'm trying to get you on my computer too. I'm just listening in.
Okay. If there is any public comments on the public comment line, if you can speak up now, that would be appreciated.
I have no public comment.
Okay, and I believe we have, sorry, the other caller, I didn't hear what you said.
I said I have no.
Okay, it doesn't look like we do have any public comment at this time.
Okay. Next we go to presentations and recognitions. We have 3 of them. First one is 12 Oaks Mall Staff Contribution Program, a donation of $500. Dan?
Yeah, thank you, Chairman. I would like to recognize Kelsey Kiefer, Linda Kavanaugh, and Daniel Jones. I see that Linda and Kelsey are on the line, and we just want to thank you and your management team at 12 Oaks Mall and the Taubman Company for your generous donation of $500. Contributions such as these help us to provide clean, safe, and fun and beautiful parks for our patrons, as well as programs and events throughout Oakland County. We are very grateful that your team selected the county parks as the recipient of your staff contribution program, and hope they continue to visit and enjoy the Oakland County parks. Thank you, Linda, and thank you, Kelsey. Would you like to say anything?
Hi there, it's Kelsey from 12 Oaks. Just want to thank you guys. You know, this was a donation, a part of our community, a new community-focused marketing campaign that we launched late last year. And, you know, we realized the importance of local community, and we really just wanted to give back and, you know, thank you guys for all that you do to make this community so beautiful. And it was just a way to give thanks. So we're happy to be able to donate.
Thank you very much. Consider us in the future.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Kelsey, I'd like to also thank you and Linda as well, and all the staff at 12 Oaks. It's nice when you think about Oakland County Parks and all the hard work we do to provide the parks in the Oakland County. So thanks for your contribution. It's very nice.
Well, thank you. Thanks for making this community so beautiful.
Okay, second we have is Citizens of Oakland County Parks 501c4. Dan?
Well, this is a group of citizens and former employees and parks commissioners who show their true dedication to the Oakland County Parks and Recreation Commission through all of their hard work. Some of these individuals have participated on multiple millage campaigns, and I totally personally thank them for their efforts. But I would like to recognize all of the board of directors and the staff who contributed their volunteerism to this effort. Marilyn Baker from Clarkston, Dave Baumhart from Bloomfield Hills, Portia Fields Anderson from Pontiac, Joe Figa from Clarkston, Elsie Scramlin from Holly, Tom Zielinski from Auburn Hills. Also, the president, Jim Malaj from Clarkston, Secretary Sue Kichi from Waterford. Some of our Oakland County Parks staff included Sue Wells, Des Stanfield, Melissa Prouse, Katie Stifel, Garrett Ebling, Mary Zednick, and then Gary McGilvery, Dave Vanderveen, and Dave Woodward were also very instrumental in this effort. So the plaque states that the Oakland County Parks and Recreation Commission thoroughly thanks the citizens for Oakland County Parks for their efforts in the successful passage of Oakland County Parks and Recreation millages in 2010 and 20. Both millages passed by a margin of 76%. The 2020 millage was the park system's first ever increase, yet the voters' support remained high, in large part because of the hard work and dedication of this group of volunteers. Their commitment has ensured another 10 years of the park system's operations, enhancing the quality of life for all the residents of Oakland County. We appreciate their continued contributions to the Oakland County Parks and Recreation. Thank you very much, all of you. Anybody want to say anything other than some of you? This is your last hurrah.
Yes. I would like to thank you very much for having me on the committee. It was an honor. And as a retired employee, it was great to see the millage pass.
Yeah.
Thanks for it, Joe.
Yeah. And so we are looking for volunteers to assist us in the future. So if you know anybody who has a civic mind and would be willing to support this effort, we're trying to make it more of an annual thing that we get together and plan versus planning in the last 3-4 months before the millage. So if you know of anyone, please contact me, and we'd love to get a wider array of individuals across the county involved.
If I can, Dan, I'd like to say thank you to all of them as well. I attended a few of their meetings. Mission accomplished, well done, and thank you so very much.
I would echo those comments, Mr. Chairman. I would just add, though, Dan, I don't know what you meant by last hurrah, but everyone I see here looks young enough to be back 10 years from now. Maybe me.
Thanks, Dave. Okay.
And the last one we have is a proclamation of appreciation for adversity to triumph, Waterford Chamber of Commerce.
Yes, and we have on the line Marie Hausworth. She's the executive director of the Waterford Chamber of Commerce, and she's been a great partner on a number of activities, and I'm sure she will share those with all of us. Marie?
Thank you, Dan. Yeah, we have a very long-standing relationship with Waterford Parks and Rec. We've come up with ideas from inception and to going ahead and completing them, from Oakland Uncorked, and just a lot of different things that we've done together. Movies Under the Moonlight. You guys have been wonderful partners. It's been great for our community. I'm very big on placemaking, and obviously Parks and Rec is an important component of placemaking. I do want to thank Parks and Rec for being there for us and being a partner with us in our community. And this year for our annual dinner, normally we all gather, and of course none of us were able to do so, but during the annual dinner, we always give awards, and actually Parks and Rec was a recipient of our partnership award one year. But this year, one of the awards that we always do is Above and Beyond. And what we found when we were looking at the recipients, and we were getting, we get nominations from our peers, our other fellow businesses and our board members, etc. There was no way to just pick one Above and Beyond business or organization. There were so many people that went way far beyond for others. And even if they were struggling themselves, they still, made sure they fed essential workers, donated, provided PPE. I mean, the things that they did were amazing. And Parks and Rec they were one of those organizations. They were nominated by their peers. And, they opened up all the park system for free for people to use, and they realized how important it was for people physically and mentally to be outside, to get balance. So they opened the parks up for free all the way from, I think it was March until June. I know that, and I know that they opened up the market as a hub for residents and businesses to drop off and donations and personal protection equipment. I know that they also had the Gleaners Community Food Bank there. They worked with the farmers there so that residents could get curbside pickup for groceries. They really went above and beyond and just got creative to be able to help our communities out. And to me, the market, it's not just a Waterford market, it's a destination. It's a place that people, not just from Waterford, go there. I know from Oakland and Cork how many people come from neighboring communities all throughout Oakland County. So we did present a proclamation. I have a great photo here. I probably could have shared it of everybody. But the proclamation reads, proclamation in appreciation of adversity to triumph is hereby bestowed upon Oakland County Parks and Recreation by the Waterford Area Chamber of Commerce in appreciation for going above and beyond to service the Waterford community in a time of great need during the year 2020. Whereas during a time of great adversity, your passion and generosity to serve others triumphed over all obstacles, whereas you have been recognized and honored by your peers within the business community. Whereas on behalf of the Waterford community, we thank you for your generosity and philanthropy. So I just want to say thank you. If you're interested in seeing the video, I can throw a link up in the chat. We ended up doing an actual annual awards 2021 via video versus being able to do it in person. And I have to say, it was very rewarding to go and see everybody and be there to give them the proclamations and awards. It was very heartwarming. You almost thought that we gave them that $1 billion winning lottery ticket that was won in Novi. That's how happy they were. So I want to thank you.
Thank you, Marie.
Yeah, thank you, Marie. We do appreciate it, and we'll do our best to make the parks even greater. So thanks so much.
Don't go anywhere. Thank you.
Yep.
Not mistaken, Marie's also on the township board now, aren't you, in Waterford?
Yes, I am.
Congratulations.
Well, thank you. I'm enjoying it. It's a nice fit for me.
And Marie, thank you also. We recently received, I believe it was a check for $150 from Waterford that helped with some of the expenses of providing the Waterford Activity Center for a polling place.
You're welcome. Thank you. Everybody have a great day.
Yep.
You too.
Thank you.
Before we move on to communications, I want to go back to public comments. I see a couple new callers in case there are any. Do we have any public comments?
I just found out Yolanda's caller 5. Yolanda Charles in Southfield.
Okay, thanks, Yolanda. Caller 3 or 4. Okay, we'll move on to communications. Next, we have 8A, which is capital improvement expense summary. We need a motion to receive and file. Is there a motion? Moved by Costin, supported by Nash. Any discussion? Okay, hearing none. Can we have a roll call vote, please?
Yes, Commissioner Charles?
Yes.
Herzog? Costin?
Yes.
LaFontaine?
Yes.
Long?
Yes.
McGilvray?
Yes.
Nash?
Yes.
Quarles? Quarles? Vanderveen?
Yes.
Egley?
Yes.
Did we lose Commissioner Quarles?
I don't see her.
I don't see her.
Oh.
There she is.
She's there.
Nancy, wave if it's a yes vote. I see her, but I can't hear her.
Her mic is muted.
Nancy, can you
Nancy?
unmute?
Nancy, if you're voting yes on the communications, turn your camera on and give us a thumbs up if you would. You must be having computer problems, I'm guessing. Okay.
So should
Are you-
I?
Yes.
Nancy?
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can.
Yes.
Yes. Can you hear me?
That mediation.
Yes.
With her tomorrow.
Is that a yes?
Okay, I'm going to sign off. I'm on my phone. I'm going to sign off and come back on my computer.
Okay, before you leave on this matter for communications, are you a yes vote?
Yes, I'm a yes.
Okay, thank you. That's 10-0. Motion passes, Commissioner McGilvery.
Okay, thank you. Next, we move to the consent agenda. We have items A through J. We need a motion to, let's see. We got one mixed in here, the Astronomy Club agreement. Is that supposed to be under consent or regular agenda?
That
We've
is
done
on
consent the last
consent.
couple times.
Pardon? Say it again, Vicki.
We've had this on consent the last couple times.
Oh, okay.
I'll move it, Gary. I'll move the consent agenda A through whatever you said. A through.
Thanks. And it's supported by Ebony. Is there any discussion on any of these items? We have Jeff here can go over anything. Yolanda, go ahead.
Thank you. Really, it's more of something to listen to the conversation for the months and perhaps years to come. But I am interested in the background in terms of the capital improvement project, how we arrive at some of the breakdowns or perhaps percentages. I do want to give Dan Stencil a shout out for reaching out to me earlier this week to see if I had any questions. And this is along those same lines, just trying to affirm that we have a process in place in terms of how we envision the capital improvements for the various parks throughout our designation.
Okay. Dan, you want anything to add to that?
No, just that the CIP program will hopefully get a shot in the arm as a result of the millage increase. That you'll hear about the possibility of doing some bonding later on in the agenda. It is our intention to maintain the parks at a high level of maintenance, safety, and accessibility. And to that end, our efforts, whether it's through a strategic plan or through an actual program such as our capital improvement and our maintenance management, those are our mechanisms for making the park system what it is.
And Dan, this is Mike Donnell, and I can touch upon a little bit of the process when we get to those agenda items, if you'd like.
Okay, thanks. Okay, we need a roll call vote on those items A through J.
Commissioner Herzog,
Yes.
Costin,
Yes.
LaFontaine,
Yes.
Long,
Yes.
McGilvery,
Yes.
Ash,
Yes.
Quarles,
Yes.
Vanderveen,
Yes.
Bagley,
Yes.
Charles.
Yes.
Consent agenda item passes 10-0.
Thank you, Vicki. We move on to the regular agenda now, item 10. And we have 10A, which is Oakland County Parks and Recreation Commission bonds for park capital improvements. Dan?
Yep, I will start out with a introduction. And I want to thank everyone for your patience and hopefully understanding of the opportunity that bonding potentially could provide for the park system. As part of our millage campaign, one of the initiatives was a promise to bring the facilities and services and programs of the park system up to a higher level of maintenance. And to that end, this is an opportunity where over a relatively short period of time, obviously still multiple years, that bonding could provide an opportunity for us to use today's dollars versus tomorrow's dollars. It leverages the county's AAA bond rating. It also allows for the packaging of projects of such as asphalt, which is one of the tremendous needs of the park system for parking lots, pathways, etc. And with this, we have representatives of our bond counsel, Jeff Aronoff, and the financial side of things, Brian Leffler from Baird and Company. So I guess at this time, and I believe Jody Hall is also on the call, if there's any questions that she could answer. So Jeff and Brian.
Jeff, would you like to add anything?
Jeff, again, this is Brian Leffler speaking. Jeff, were you going to start off with anything on your memo that we had prepared together?
And they provided a write-up on agenda 10A.
I don't hear Jeff speaking. This is Brian Leffler. Briefly, is what the memorandum was to talk about the opportunities or the statutory options to do the financing. And on the front side of the first page of the memorandum and the 3 bullet points, there are 3 state statutes that would allow for the bond financing to aggregate and sell bonds today to do an efficient deployment of the capital improvements. The first one was capital improvement bonds. The second would be the parks and recreation bonds. And the third one was the building authority bonds. And there's the statute cited right there. On the second side of the page, we talked about the different types of security, which is essentially the idea of an account, the authorizing procedures, and then some pros and cons associated with 3 different types of options. And then the last column is financial implications. One of the things is with each of these is that there are timelines that are associated with that for process and procedures, which are identified in each of the pros and cons. And then based on financial implication, the longest timeline would be the Parks and Recs bond situation. In terms of it would be would take the longest period. The shortest would be essentially the capital improvements, and in the middle would be building authority in terms of the time frame to access the capital markets. I think the reason we put that into the summary was just to, as you know, what's possibly known in the foreseeable future. I think it's easier to know what may be happening in 4 weeks, possibly, versus 20 weeks or 30 weeks. With that, I don't know, with Jeff Aronoff and I, in terms of a little bit of a recommendation, is on the back on the first page on the last paragraph, was actually using the capital improvement bond process under Act 34 as what would be the recommended approach on less administrative burden, the flexibility and then also the financial impact consideration. With that, I don't know if Jeff wanted to add anything.
Not really, other than to check to confirm people can hear me. I seem to be having some issues with my audio. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, great. No, I think Brian really covered it. And I think maybe we can just take questions if any of the commissioners have them. One thing that I would note is, as you may be able to tell from the chart and memorandum, that all of the official kind of bond proceedings.
We lost you now, Jeff.
The state law structure that's in place, you'll be seeing a lot of proceedings that run through the commission.
So a lot of the approvals would be done by the Parks and Recreation Commission?
No, I mean that, sorry to be clear, I mean the county commission, the board of commissioners. Certainly the spending and the project process, the use of proceeds will be controlled by the Parks and Recreation Commission, but the actual authorization for the issuance of bonds will be done through the county commission or board of commissioners.
Okay.
Okay, are there any other questions for the attorneys? Jody Hall is here also. I thought I saw her name, so if anybody's got any questions, let me know. Dave?
Yep, Gary, I'm on. This is Jody.
Okay, thanks. Go ahead, Dave.
I know bonds are low right now. What would you folks guess that our rate might be, relatively speaking, over 10 years? I assume our time is 10 years because that's when our millage renewal is up.
This is Brian Leslie with Baird, the municipal advisor. Right now, a AAA 10-year obligation would probably have an all-in cost of less than 1.50%. It'd probably be closer to 1.25% right now.
That is low. Thank you.
You're welcome.
And Gary, I was going to mention that Jeff has done some projection that if we were to bond for somewhere around $20 million, that the bond payment would be somewhere around $2 million.
Okay. Nancy, you had a question?
Yeah. Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just want to make sure that full council is in agreement with this proposal that's being presented to us today.
Oh, yeah, Nancy, this is Jody. Yep, I've been working closely with Brian and Jeff on this project and other projects. So yes.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Any other questions for any of the attorneys regarding the bonds? Hearing none, thanks, we appreciate it. Next item is item B, proposed fiscal year 2022 CIP and MMP projects. Mr. Donlin.
Good afternoon, commissioners. This is a culmination of, it's the first report of a culmination of annual review process that we do. We begin this in August, September with park staff and review our project list, our capital project list. Commissioner Charles, you brought up the process earlier. And this is the first report of that effort. This process then goes forward into into our workshops that we have in April, and then a conceptual approval in June, and ultimately an approval for FY 2022 in September. The plan before you, a couple highlights I just wanted to note, is that this plan now separates out the natural resource management plan from the maintenance management plan. And that's twofold because of the efforts that we're doing with natural resources and the additional efforts that we're going to be bringing on with our collaborative invasive species management areas unit group that is part of our millage. So you'll see that in this plan as well. This is just a list of projects and programs for your review and to question and to give them to you in advance of our workshops so you can kind of get a better understanding of what they are and even formulate some of those questions. What's really exciting to me, and as some of you may have known over the past 10, 12 years of my career as chief, I keep touting the investment goals and trying to invest in our facilities. And this is a really, with the millage passing in November, it really gives us an opportunity to make those investments and achieve those goals to be a sustainable park system with the existing facilities that we have. 100% of these plans is an investment into existing. So, and we've done that in the past 3 years now, or 4 years now for our capital improvement plans is investing into, and maintenance management plans is investing into our capital or our assets. So as you can see in the memo on page 60, I think 61, we have 100% investment and we are, meeting a target. I've always said, anywhere from 4 to 5% is what our investment goal should be of our park assets. And we're right up just above the 5% mark on that with this plan. What other highlights do I have here? Bottom line is the CIP. We've identified approximately $4.3 million in projects for capital improvement. In the maintenance management plan, which is operational projects, these are projects that aren't capitalized, we've identified about $684,000. And then in the natural resources plan, we've identified approximately $856,000. All the scopes are listed, and the scopes and needs are listed in your packets on the subsequent pages. So you can kind of read through what the scope is and what the need is in identifying that. And again, this is an annual process that we review, and we're getting it before you today just to receive and file and start to look at what we're proposing. I can tell you already there is going to be a change moving forward. We did have a meeting with our partners at the city of Madison Heights last Friday, and I'm already adjusting those projects based on the funding available from the city. So we're going to be making some of those changes too as well. With that, I can open it up for any further questions that the commissioners would have.
Do we have any questions? I don't see any hands going up, so I guess you're good, Mike. Thanks.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, next we have proposed fiscal year 2022 capital equipment. Mr. Hughes.
Excuse me, Mr. McGilvery?
Yes.
At the bottom of page 62, Mike had a motion to receive and file this. Do you want to ask for a motion on that?
Okay, I don't see it on here. Okay, yeah, we can do that. Do we have a motion to receive and file?
So moved.
Moved by Costin, supported by Long. Any discussion? Hearing none, can we have a roll call vote, please?
All right, discussion. Can you just restate the item that we're moving on?
It's the CIP plan that was just discussed. It's on page 61 and 62.
Right, is that 10A, 10B?
It's 10B, I'm sorry.
Thank you.
Okay, for a motion on 10B, Commissioner Costin,
Yes.
LaFontaine,
Yes.
Long,
Yes.
McGilvery,
Yes.
Dash,
Yes.
Quarles,
Yes.
Vanderveen. I'm sorry, I didn't hear.
Yes.
Thank you. Bagley,
Yes.
Charles,
Yes.
and Herzog.
Yes.
Motion passes 10-0.
Thank you, Vicky. Next item we have is capital equipment for fiscal year 2022. Mr. Hughes.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. This is the fiscal year 2022 capital equipment. This is the proposed list. Not seeking approval today, just informational for the commission for when we come to the budget hearings in April and May. So this is the first view of the equipment we're requesting for 2020 or 2022. I believe it's in that starts on page 94 in the commission packet, and the PowerPoint begins on page 96.
Are there any questions for Mr. Hughes?
Would you like me to present each equipment? Any questions on the equipment? I can go through any concerns. I can feel free to ask any questions. I'll explain anything, or if not, then I can sit here and wait.
I have one question, if I can, Tom.
Yes, sir.
On the stages, you've got another stage down that's $130,000. How many stages do we have right now?
We have 3 right now, and the third one is in condition, not in condition to be transported anymore. It's not roadworthy. So that one will be going to most likely a park, used within a park still as a permanent fixture, or maybe between a park or two, very rarely being moved. They all bring revenue in. Last year, not much revenue, but going forward, they all do bring in revenue for having 3 stages, and they're all highly used in normal operation.
Is there ever a time where all of them are used at one time?
Oh, yeah.
Yes, they are.
Okay. Any other questions for Tom? Dave, go ahead.
One quick one, Tom. Disposal of this equipment you're replacing. You assume we're gonna have an auction this year?
This would be for 2022, but yeah, there's no, I saw the information, there's no auction again this year, at least on site. It would be through bid board.
Not yet, anyway. We'll see how, that's a moving target.
Right, first option is always to reallocate equipment within parks. If it's not used, it can be used in another park before disposing of it. We try to get to auction if we can, but a lot of equipment gets to that point that doesn't gain much value or much revenue from an auction. That's where we would go for auction for sure.
Yeah, thank you.
Any other questions? Yolanda.
Thank you. Uh-oh. Yeah, it was, I'll break out of my one issue way of handling things right now, but Catalpa Oaks obviously is important to me. And just curious, if I don't see a particular park on the list, is it because that assessment showed they didn't need anything, or they didn't ask for anything? And are they sharing tools across parks?
Oh, yeah.
Yes. So Catalpa Oaks, there's not a storage facility on site for maintenance. So most of the equipment comes from Glen Oaks, so they transport it over there. We will have a smaller maintenance facility in process right now. So we'll have maintenance carts and smaller tools there. And for 2021, we did request a piece of equipment for that facility. So we do have some plan for that facility. If it's not on the list, then it's correct. There's no need this year or no requests for equipment.
But we bring in mobile units to that site quite often when we have the ability.
Thank you.
Are there any other questions? Jim, go ahead.
I was just wondering how much on that $130,000 stage, we kept it 25 years. How much is a rental on one of those, and how much do we bring in on a year on it, something like that, roughly?
Randy?
Yep, I'm here. Just was finding my mute button. The stages, they rent anywhere from $550 to higher, depending on the organization who's renting it. And there's many weekends, Labor Day through Memorial Day through Labor Day, that it's rented. All three of them, all weekend long. We have concerts in the park in multiple cities during the week, and then in December, with different holiday celebrations, we have quite a few stages out the first 2 weeks of December. Commissioner Nash, I can email you a number. I don't want to say a wrong number, but that is the one area where RPS brings in the most money is our stages.
I'm sure I see them all over. So it's good. I'm glad we're definitely getting our money on the investment. So that's, again, and people see the name wherever they are. So it's a good advertising for us too. So
Yes, it's a very large billboard going down 75.
I see them a lot. So that's great.
Randy, you can get that information to Vicky and she'll get it out to the commissioners.
Yep, I sure will.
Thank you.
Are there any other questions? Okay, we need, do we need to vote on that, Vicky?
Nope, there's no motion on this one. You can receive it if you want, but there's no motion.
Okay, we'll move on to the next item. That's Saginaw Bay Wind Grant Award for the Mill Pond Dam Removal and Restoration Project. Melissa? Melissa, are you with us?
She was
That's
earlier.
weird, 'cause it says a green mic.
There you are.
Yes.
We can see her, we just can't hear her.
You're unmuted, but we cannot hear you. Now log off and log back on.
Okay, maybe we can move down to item E then, which is the CIP maintenance project approvals, Groveland Oaks sanitary sewer study update and proposal. Mike?
Good afternoon, commissioners, again. With us today, I have a couple guests. Just wanted to introduce Jack Wheatley from Rowe Professional Services. He is the engineer completing the Northwest Interceptor study. That's the interceptor that they're looking at to potentially bring from Genesee County into Oakland County. And then we also have Doug Skyless, who's also with Rowe Professional Services. And he's the engineer that will be assisting us in determining what kind of determining the study for connecting our Groveland Oaks facilities into that interceptor. There is a cost for the interceptor to come down to Dixie and Grange Hall, and there's also a cost to for those connections inside the park. Real brief, I'll try to be brief as I can. Back in 2020, or the early 2020, Groveland and Holly Townships requested the Water Resource Commissioner's Office, as well as the Genesee Wastewater Services Department, to complete a study about bringing a sanitary sewer system into Oakland County to approximately Grange Hall and Dixie Highway roads. And this is basically because they foresee a need in their master plans for commercial growth within the within that corridor of Dixie Highway for recreation. They contracted with WRC to complete the study and to try to determine what the residential equivalent units are for each of the property owners along the corridor within the different districts. And basically, they've met with a lot of stakeholders. Jack has met with a lot of stakeholders throughout this process to come up with that. And basically, we're here today just to kind of give you that update. There's a lot of information in the agenda that I didn't want to delve too much into, but I'm hoping that you have had the opportunity to read through there. The second part of this is that proposal that we have before us that I would like to get approval for is to move forward with the study to connect our facilities within the Groveland Oaks Park to that interceptor. And that is basically because we're going to experience costs there too as well. So we wanted to see what the full gamut of cost would be for this interceptor and connecting in there. And just to note, through our groundwater discharge permit improvements last year, and in coordination with the Department of Environmental, Great Lakes, and I think I said that wrong, said that backwards, Eagle, for the lack of a better term. They recommended strongly that we start looking at alternative sanitary solutions for Groveland Oaks. So this could be one of those solutions that help us out there at the park. What else do I have to highlight? I think that was about it for there. Doug or Jack, do you have anything to add?
This is Doug Skyless with Rowe, and Mike, I think you gave him a good summary. Our proposal is to look at a couple options of how to collect the sewage at Groveland Oaks and get it into one or both of the proposed sewers that Mike had referenced from the county study.
The only thing I would add, Mike, is, the stage of the study right now is we're a little ways off from construction, maybe 2 to 3 years yet. A lot of stages that the sewer has to go through in terms of looking at, is this feasible yet? I mean, it's feasible, I guess, from we can build it and we can pay for it, but are we willing to pay for it is the question. So we're going through a lot of analysis with WRC and then also with the Genesee County Drain Commission to get this, to get it moving along. So this is, the study for Groveland Oaks is really on the if the, what we're kind of calling the Kersley Creek Interceptor, the Northwest Oakland County Interceptor, whether that comes to fruition, how the parks could tie into it in a couple different ways. One is by themselves and one is in concert or teaming up with the Holly Rec area folks with the DNR and seeing if we can get some economy of scale for costs there too. So just wanted to add that in.
George Cullis, the township supervisor for Holly, is on the call. George, did you want to say anything?
No, we started this project a couple of years ago, as Mr. Donlan stated, because of the ORV park and the fact that we have a lot of vacant land out here that's going to, developers are already looking at. In some cases, they've picked up several parcels, and we knew that the development would go along a lot easier with the sewers. So we initiated this program, and like Jack Wheatley said, it's a great idea if we can just figure out how to pay for it, and that's what we're working on.
Thanks, George.
Okay, Mike, I have a question for you. Is this just an approval to move forward with the project? That's all it is, correct?
As far as the internal connections, the proposal, yes, I'd like to gain approval for that. The rest of it for the Northwest Oakland Interceptor is just information for the commission as we move through the study process.
Okay. Are there any further questions? I guess we don't have a motion yet. Do we have a motion for this?
I would move that.
Moved by Nash, supported by Quarles. Any discussion? Hearing none, can we have a roll call vote, please?
Yes, on the Genesee County connection for sanitary sewer, Commissioner LaVontaine.
Yes.
Long.
Yes.
McGilvray.
Yes.
Nash.
Yes.
Quarles.
Yes.
Vanderveen.
Yes.
Bagley.
Yes.
Charles.
Yes.
Herzog.
Yes.
Costin.
Yes.
Motion passes 10-0, Chairman.
Thank you. Now we're going to bounce back one to item D. That's again Saginaw Bay Wind Grant Award for the Mill Pond Dam. Melissa?
Okay, is that better?
That's
You
much
bet.
better.
Okay, great. Sorry about that. So this is the first of what we hope are many grants for the actual dam removal and restoration project in Davisburg at the Mill Pond Dam. We did receive one additional grant earlier in 2020 for the actual design engineering work, which we're doing now. But this is the first grant to come in for the actual removal and redevelopment project. So it's a $25,000 grant from the Saginaw Bay Watershed Initiative Network, otherwise known as Saginaw Bay WIN. It's a small grant when you look at the overall size of the project, which is about $1.6 million, but it's a really important one because it shows that Saginaw Bay WIN supports this project, and that will help us as we move forward with other applications as well. So you will hopefully be seeing many more of these in the future. We have several applications pending and a few more that we're applying for in the coming months. So far so good. I think we've been over this project a couple times, but I'm happy to provide any additional information or take questions on it if there are any.
Are there any questions? David?
Melissa, does this go to both Springfield Township and us, or just us? How do we allocate
Yeah,
that?
we are sort of serving as the fiduciary, so we the applicant and the recipient of all the grant agreements, and we'll manage those on behalf of the project.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions from Melissa? Hearing none, I guess we need a motion to approve. Is there a motion? Moved by Charles, supported by Herzog. Any discussion? Can we have a roll call vote, please?
Yes, for the Saginaw $25,000 grant, Commissioner Long,
Yes.
McGilvray,
Yes.
Ash,
Yes.
Quarles,
Yes.
Vanderveen,
Yes.
Bagley,
Yes.
Charles,
Yes.
Herzog,
Yes.
Costin,
Yes.
Fontaine.
Yes.
Motion passes 10-0, Chairman.
Thank you. Next item we have is Holly Oaks ORV Park Dixie Ledge Phase 1 construction of a parking lot project, and this is a construction approval. Do we have a motion? Moved by Quarles, supported by Herzog. Zach, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Hey, tell us about it.
Okay, yeah, as Chairman McGilvery mentioned, we emailed out an updated memo. The revisions are just who we are awarding the annual contract to for the earthwork. And then I also added a construction contingency in the project. This item starts on page 154. We've received the R&R ORV grant of $199,000, so we're gonna have to phase the parking lot due to that only having funding available to do phase 1 right now. This work will start as soon as possible and hopefully have it finished as we open up in April of this year. Page 156 in your agenda shows the entire parking lot at the corner Shields and Dixie. So the scope of work for this project will be that northern half of the work, and that's shown on page 157. So in an effort to minimize our costs with that awarded funding, we're using annual contract to do the earthwork, and then staff will be doing the other scope items, including any fencing, retaining wall, and compaction of millings. Staff is anticipating getting an additional $200,000 next year for phase 2 to complete the south end of the parking lot. And then this work, the reason we're doing this work, we need to comply with the Cumberland Township site plan approval. They gave us a special use permit last year to operate the park. So the recommendation is just awarding Fortress Foundations for $91,254, and then the total project cost of $184,754 to complete phase 1, which is within obviously the $199 award, and then that remaining around $14,000 that we're not spending this year can be carried over for next year, any development projects for next year.
Okay, are there any questions for Zach? Hearing none, can we have a roll call vote on the motion, please?
Yes. Commissioner McGilvery,
Yes.
Commissioner Nash, Commissioner Nash,
Looks like he might have left us.
okay, Commissioner Quarles,
Yes.
Vanderveen,
Yes.
Bagley,
Yes.
Charles,
Yes.
Herzog,
Yes.
Costin,
Yes.
LaFontaine,
Yes.
Long,
Yes.
motion passes 9-0.
Thank you. Next, we move on to 11 reports. First one we have is Fiscal Sustainability Work Group. Sue Wells.
Afternoon. We have two reports today. The first one, our consultant on, and Phil, do you want to make the introductions?
Sure. We have JJ Keegan here with us. He is the golf guru that you approved to hire at the January commission meeting. He has been on fire since that meeting, going through large amounts of data that we've been sending him. I think between his emails to me and my emails to him, we've blown each other's email box up pretty good. But there has been significant data gone through, and JJ has been in communication with us around the clock, working on a tight time frame to come back with some recommendations in March. And I will turn the floor over to him. He's got a quick presentation on where we've been and where we're going, and then I'm sure he'll be happy to take any questions.
Commissioners, welcome.
Thanks,
Commissioners, welcome. I'm JJ Keegan, calling you from Castle Pines, Colorado, connecting with you. On Sunday night, I'm in Southfield, and on Monday, I'm in Waterford. What we want to accomplish today is we were hired to create a Vision 2021 for the Oakland County golf courses. So what I want to cover today in 15 minutes is, hello, who are we? What are our goals? The process that we're going to use, the timetable for completion, the philosophy of how you run a golf course very successfully, and then I've got some homework for you. We're going to give you 30 days to do a little analysis so that when we meet again on March 3rd, you'll be ready to make some decisions and move the golf operation forward in 2021. I'm very fortunate. I've been in 58 countries. I've seen over 6,000 of the world's 34,000 golf courses, and I've played many of them very poorly. But what that's allowed me to do is write 6 books on the business of golf. I'm sort of a doctor in the business of golf that when I see x-rays, we can pretty quickly do an analysis of how do we create value for the golfers on a foundation that's going to optimize the financial performance of the facility. But it's just not me. We've got a team of people from Mike Code who's looking at the equipment. Kevin Norby's seen some photographs on Lion Oaks with respect to some of the trees out there. And Kathy Harmons, if the golf courses were open, would be visiting each one, looking at the operational procedures and the levels of customer service. Your goals in the RFP were, 1, you wanted comments on the organizational structure, an analysis of the market's competition and demographics, maintenance operations, and then looking detailed at rounds, revenue, expenditures, performance, what are the rates, your computer systems, T-sheet management, sales, marketing, and the website. But we go from this process of start to achieving your goals that over time we've developed a 7-step process where we look at the demographics, we look at your weather in terms of the playable days, we do a detailed analysis of your facilities, your labor in terms of maintenance, your deferred capital expenditures, your equipment. We look at operations. There are 13 customer touch points from the time somebody's thinking of playing golf to the time they show up on the first tee and depart the property. We've got a survey going on right now. I'm pleased to say that with Phil's help and Tom Hughes, who both have been absolutely outstanding and cooperative with us, that we sent out a survey last Friday to 8,500 people. We had over 900 responses getting citizen feedback on what they think the golf courses should evolve to. We then benchmark the financial metrics, and I believe it all starts with technology.
We do this by using a series of 15 templates that we developed in cooperation with Clemson University's PGA PGM program that has been tested on over 300 golf courses across the country, from high-end facilities like Pelican Hills to Cog Hill in Chicago to up in Michigan, Crystal Mountain Resort, to the city of San Antonio, Mecklenburg County, Western Illinois University, all participated in this perfecting the process. Well, our timetable from getting the go on the contract award at your last meeting, we downloaded all the data, and we've been spending a lot of time reconciling the information from RecTrack to the accounting's records, and I wish I could say it's been a smooth process. I've got a blister on my finger from using my mouse, going back and forth, getting all this data to reconcile. We have visited all 5 courses, even though the contract wasn't executed to the 27th. I flew in and I visited all your golf courses. And I've met with, and I've got to commend Dan Spensel at 7:30 on Monday morning. He was at Springfield Oaks, and I've been able to meet with your superintendents and your golf shop managers at each courses, getting their input. We've already completed the local market analysis, the surveys in process. And what's amazing is that we've created a golf workshop survey. And on Monday, I'm going to be at Waterfield with a staff of 18 people, and we're going to build a vision for 2021 based on what the staff wants, with our independent feedback, determine what's going to work in terms of benchmarking across the United States as a basis for our presentation to you. We have already done extensive date rate analysis, and in February, you can see the slides I prepared, this presentation. We're going to tabulate the customer survey tomorrow. We're going to tabulate the golf workshop survey. Each of the 18 people, we sent them a series of 35 questions as, what would you do if you owned the golf course? How would you change what's going on here, including the organizational structure? So we're going to host the workshop. We're going to finalize the pricing changes. We're going to test. I'm pleased to say one of the great things we've already learned in the customer survey is 60% of the people make tee time reservations online. Oakland County does not have a website in which you can book tee times. April 1 is our goal to get that live with your approval as a way of accommodating the customer with live reservations and mobile applications. We still have to do the payroll analysis, and I want to visit with Sue and Dan, Phil, and the team, and Jeff on, and Tom, what is the right organizational structure to go forward? And then we're going to obtain a consensus among the management and staff presenting to you on March the 3rd. Well, the philosophy of running a golf course is, there's a video I would suggest, if you haven't watched it, it's the 4th watched most TED Talk of all time. It's Simon Sinek, The Circle of Communication on Why, How, What. People don't do what you do, they do why you do it. And why do you have these golf courses? What need within the community are you trying to fill? It's a 17-minute video, and it's absolutely outstanding in guiding you, because in a well-managed operation, we need to know, what is your vision for the courses? And this comes from the commissioners, and what are you trying to achieve? Because if you said you wanted the most exclusive, high-end, daily fee golf courses with valet parking, it then defines all of the things that have to evolve to execute what your vision is as commissioners. But I also have to listen to this presentation and all of the capital that's being raised. I also have to present the counter argument on the allocation of county resources. Golf, you could close every one of your golf courses. You lost $1.4 million last year. You lost $500,000 in cash flow, and your citizens would not be in any way disadvantaged. They may have to pay a little more. They may have to drive a farther distance, but there are over 100 golf courses in Oakland County. And so based on the allocation of resources, this becomes very important in terms of defining your vision of culture that determines what assets do we have, which then lead down to the operational activities and how we're going to manage it. Because golf, until COVID, for the past 16 years, more courses have closed in America than opened. There have been 23 courses closed in Oakland County in the last 8 years. And so because of supply, you only have 215 playable days a year. Because of the weather, I was on a call today with Phil and I saw the snow. the technology of what's evolving in terms of the millennials wanting social media applications on their iPhone to book reservations, contacted that way. We live in a time crunch culture and expenses. My heart goes out to Tom and Jim. Their electricity, their fertilizer, their labor, their benefits in maintaining the golf course and the park are absolutely increasing. So what you need to do is you have to, amongst the 10 of you, say, does the golf courses have to be fiscally self-sustaining and at what level? Currently, you're not even meeting cash flow loss, losing $500,000. Is it okay if they do that, or do they need to cash flow and cover the debt from capital expenditures? Or do they need to cover many existing debt, cash flow, and all future capital so you never have to bond for the golf courses? Or do you sell or close one of the golf courses if it will help you along the way? I cannot answer this question for you. This is your purview as the commissioners on what is your financial goal, because that financial goal and the resources that you account to the staff allow them to execute. So here's a quick chart. There's hallmarks of a successful golf course in terms of knowing the value of land and have you quantified open space. I will say a golf course is roughly 150 acres, and if it was open park space, it's probably going to cost you $100,000 a year or more. So to the extent your operating losses are less than maintaining open park space, it would suggest you should keep the courses open. We'll comment on the demand and supply on March the 3rd. We have an attitudinal behavior from Experian that measures the attitudinal behavior within 10 miles of your courses, and the slope rating is the course right. White Lake Oaks, for example, at only a slope rating of 108 is not the best fit for the community. I can also make some comments about Red Oaks. We talked about the weather playable days. We looked at, are your financial statements prepared in accordance with Golf Gap? And the answer is no, they're not, because they're prepared for a park system which allocates all kinds of things. We look at your rates. Your senior age is 62 across the country. The senior age is becoming 66 for getting those discounts. Are you willing to change the age in 2021? We also look at things like, what about golfer employees, which I believe employees should be given on a controlled basis some access to golf, particularly the director of golf and the director of maintenance. Those two should be together at least once every 2 weeks, looking at the facility and the golf pro saying, here's what I'm hearing from the customers, and the head of maintenance saying, well, here are the challenges we're having with dollar spot, or we had a lot of snow mold, or we have broken irrigation heads. So what's actually going on in the field that the customer sees daily can be shared with them when they come to the counter and pay. Union labor can be a challenge because of the number of limited days at time and a half and double time. We've done studies in St. Paul, Minneapolis, Chicago, and so this is one of the areas that we're looking at in the fringe benefits. So having said that, here are some early observations for you. The organizational structure where employee salaries and responsibility are allocated between activities between parks and the golf course, or dog parks, recreational or water parks, makes the analysis of just the golf course as an entity to itself incredibly difficult. The actual maintenance, I can't tell you what the maintenance expenditures are due to the allocation of labor to various cost centers. Steve out at Spring Oak spends his time at the golf course. He spends his time maintaining the park. There's no allocation between those two facilities that one can say, your maintenance expenses should be around $500,000 to Lion Oaks about $700,000. So it's a struggle. There needs to be, in my opinion, a single leader who's responsible for the profitability of the golf courses. Currently, there is no one. The accounting records in general, and specifically the records for group golf, league golf, and outings are completed in a manner that makes meaningful analysis difficult for employees to nearly impossible for independent review. Tom will tell you that I'm waking up at 2 in the morning pounding it because he's working and coming in so early that tomorrow morning we'll be on the call again, looking at this and getting it all reconciled. There's over 356 different SKUs. Tom sent me a sheet today. He's got it down to 41 of them. So RecTrack is a system that's used throughout the parks, but it's being used as a cash register. There is no data that can tell me how much, Commissioner Costin, how much you come and play, what you spend at the golf courses. We don't have your email address on file. We're not sending you text messages. Or Commissioner McGarry, I believe you play too. And so therefore, we have no data to connect to the customer to market. A customer database needs to be developed, an online reservation system. Our goal, fingers crossed, is going to be April 1. And the financial statements are not fairly stated in all significant respect with respect to rounds and the allocation of green fee. We have no confidence in the rounds reported are accurate within 10%. There's 2 reports within the department saying that the rounds in 2020, one count has them at 116, another count has them at 124. And we'll show you the definition for a round. It's one person that goes off the first tee for 1 hole, 9 hole, or 10 holes. The ability to say, what are my 9-hole equivalents? That's not how rounds are tracked in America. So we've got some benchmarks. We already know that your gross revenue, if we take all your rounds times your rack rates, multiply it times 60%, you should have done 3.3 million. You only did 3 million. So there's about 250,000 on the table. Your yield per round is only 51.94%. It should be at 60. Your utilization as a percent of capacity is only 43%. The national average is 52%. I don't know the maintenance budgets. You fortunately don't have season passes, which is really great. You do have a player preference card. You don't have any merchandise. Your food and beverage is not part of the golf operation. We can't calculate your salary should be 50% of total revenue. Your fringe benefits are only at 35%, which is great because when we see cities like in the study we did in Albuquerque, their fringe benefits were at 55%, suggesting privatization becomes the option. And so we look at your debt and your EBITDA is a negative 17%. The industry benchmark's 20. So here's your homework. And I'm looking forward to your input. What is the cost of maintaining 150 acres of park space? And how much are you willing to lose from a cash flow standpoint? Management and staff needs to know what is the financial target for the operation of the golf courses. And is the financial goal is negative cash flow and it was $500,000 this year, is that acceptable? Or does it have to be break even? Or does it have to generate positive cash flow? Are you willing to raise rates to fair market value for seniors, military adapted, and veterans that consume 25% of your transactions but only generate 20% of the revenue? If the answer is no, 2B, C, and D are not achievable. Are you willing to raise rates to the juniors, currently $5 for 9 holes, to consume 3% of your rounds but only generate 1% of your revenue? These are tough emotional issues. Are you willing to raise rates to the general public? Tom and I have got over 24 hours running all kinds of models about if we take the carts up from 15 to 16 for 18 holes, what's the impact? It's $40,000, by the way. Are you willing to stabilize cart rates at 16 for 18 holes and $10 for 9 holes? Because currently the seniors, military, adaptive, and veterans not only get the discount on the green fee, they get a discount on the carts. And how can you reorganize the park so that the accountability for the financial performance of golf can reside in one person? We're going to present some ideas, and it's been absolutely a pleasure being with you. What questions can I handle for you right now? The contract was signed on the 27th of January. And if I were to show you all the spreadsheets, Tom has been absolutely outstanding, and Phil working with us. They've been marvelous in assimilating all these insights so quickly. Questions?
David, go ahead.
I don't know where to begin. You just said a mouthful.
He said more than a mouthful.
I assume you're going to send these our homework out to us.
Yes. Phil has got the presentation. I just caught 1 or 2 typos. I worked on it last night from 7 to 9 o'clock. I'm going to change the typos, and he'll have it to you later this afternoon.
JJ, were there any, we just went over capital improvements. I didn't see on golf courses. Did anything stand out to you when you toured our courses from a capital standpoint that really it would have a high priority?
Can I defer that question because I saw the capital improvements and I made some notes in terms of the request for 2022, and I want to visit with Tom because I've got such a respect for him. We've already had Mike Vogt go through your entire equipment inventory, and we've identified items that when they become aged and obsolete, not to replace, But I have such a respect for Tom. I want him to review that because this is a team project. It's just not me. We're building a consensus among your staff as to our collective recommendations. So if it's okay, Commissioner Vanderveen, and it's a pleasure to meet you live, I'm going to defer to March 3rd that answer.
No, that's, I was referring more to the capital improvements of the courses themselves than the equipment. And I appreciate it was hard for you to see. We had to have snow on all the courses when you were here.
Well, your staff was amazing. We literally got in the trucks and drove the entire courses. And as a golfer, I would make the following observations. At Lion Oaks, you've got a problem with the Phragmites and the cattails. You've got the 14th hole needs to be redone. I'd move the tee to the right. There's trees overhanging 150 yards out. I'd cut them. 14's a bad hole at Lion Oaks, along with the Phragmites. That's why the maintenance expenses are high there. At Springfield, it's a tale of two nines. I still think we actually got out of the van and you got bunkers in front of the trees on 12 that we recommended taking out. There's 3 trees, taking out 2 of the trees to give you a shot from the green if you put it in the right side bunker on 12. And we can cut all kinds of trees on 13, 14, 15, 16 to continue to open up those corridors. That is very difficult. We even looked at realigning the 14th tee and maybe even the 15th green from a safety standpoint. If I look at Glen Oaks, I did not get out on that golf course because it was snowing too hard. And I look forward to visiting it when I'm there on Monday. And White Lake Oaks, the slip rating's 108. I think it's too low. I take the lake out, the trees out on 13 to open that up. So there's all kinds of tweaks that can be made architecturally to increase the experience. The dog-leg ride on 10 at White Oaks, I really wonder what's going on there and how do we make that a little friendlier for the customer, realizing the trees on the right protect the road. I'm actually looking on that left side of the fairway. Hopefully it helps, but I also would comment the facilities you have at Lion Oaks, Glen Oaks are impressive. With the exception of Red Oaks, the clubhouses are, if I was building a golf course, the clubhouses would not be 48,000 square feet, and we would not be trying to cater to banquets and weddings at that large a scale. If I owned the golf courses and if I was trying to make money, they are a huge loss leader for you. Hopefully that answers your question, Commissioner.
It does, thank you. And you addressed the next question as well, and that's the banquet facility. So thank you.
You're welcome.
Can we have the PowerPoint taken down for right now? Kind of hard to see anybody if they have questions. So does anybody else have questions?
JJ, you'll have to take that down.
Andrea first, and then Nancy after that.
I'm going to get
my question was okay. My question was related to the customer data gathering. What do you think would change as a result of collecting that data?
I'm sorry, Andrea. I was trying to get rid of I think Phil's now got the control so we can see everybody. Sorry, Commissioner. I have gotten very used to Zoom. Andrea, Commissioner, could you repeat your question again?
Sure, no problem. So you mentioned the ability to book tee times online, and you also referenced some sort of like customer database and gathering information on who's golfing, when they've been there, email addresses. What behaviors do you think would change as a result of having access to that data from a golfer standpoint? Like, why would that data be useful?
15% of your golfers generate 60% of the rounds. There is a high concentration of very loyal and frequent people. One of the questions we have asked in the survey is where else they're playing and what is their loyalty to Lion Oaks versus Shepherd's Hollow. So knowing who your customer is and being able to market to them directly. Why has United Airlines captured me? Why am I staying in Southfield on Sunday night at a Marriott property? It's because of the loyalty programs and the fact of the recognition you get. Every golf course, and I will in the presentation on March 3rd show you all of the reports, where are the zip codes of the customers. We don't know where your customers are. We don't know how many in county or out of county. One of the questions was resident, non-resident rates, which by the way I oppose. But we're going to build a consensus among the staff. Every major company knows who their customer is and how often they're spending and what their fees and rates are. And we have no idea who your customer is at the current time because of the way Vermont's being used. And Vermont's being used because some of the network is a challenge in terms of it gets really slow because they haven't put their name onto the tee sheet. When they come into the golf shop, they got to go, oh, Commissioner Costin, how are you today? What's your phone number? What's your email address? And it can take up to 3 to 4 minutes to book somebody into the tee sheet. So they just skip it and say, oh, Commissioner Costin, today you're $42 with card at Glen Oaks, and off you go. So they hit one button rather than doing it. And so with a customer building himself the online databases, it'll greatly help us. It'll also reduce labor costs at the golf course. And Commissioner Costin, I see you sitting there. Hopefully you don't ski the birds of prey when you come up to Beaver Creek. I'd suggest you go to China Bowl and the back bowls and maybe Highline and Blue Ox. Up in there. I'm not a fan of Beaver Creek.
Well, you're missing it. It's only the most expensive of all the ski areas in the country, but it's worth it.
You never have to do the steam run twice.
Are there any other questions for Mr. Keegan? Nancy.
Quarles.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. One of my questions was somewhat asked by the other commissioner, and that was on the survey of for the Oakland County. Are you surveying Oakland County golfers, or I guess my question is how you pulling that information?
We are pulling it that the Parks has an 8,500 person database that may or may not have an interest in golf. We also, I say we, Phil has been the one that's leading the charge here. He's the one that's tailored the emails, he's distributed them. He's got it on Facebook, he's got it on the county website, and the survey will close tomorrow night. I will tabulate it and have the results for the management staff on Monday.
Oh, okay. One of the areas that I've always wondered about, and I hope that this is something that your consulting firm is looking at, and that is when you have golf and foot golf on the same facility. What is the advantage of that? And I usually find that that will deter a golfer from that course. And from your experience and your opportunities looked at that, I'm sure. Is there any advantage of having foot golf on the same course as golf?
Commissioner Quarles, you and I should go buy a golf course. Neither of us would have foot golf on it. You just hit the exact answer, is why foot golf. And so it comes back to the fundamental question that I cannot answer for you. What is your financial target for the golf course? How much is this a recreational amenity to improve the quality of life for your citizens? And so White Lake Oaks has fling golf in addition to foot golf. You've also got foot golf at Red Oaks. And so the core golfer may not like to be in that environment. Are there other alternatives at your parks to put in a foot golf facility or to put in fling golf? I think the answer to that's yes. I'm a traditionalist when it comes to golf. And so I'm not too sure it's got a place on the golf course because of the ambiance that it creates for most of the golfers. Does that answer your question, Commissioner Quarles?
Yes. And my last question, on one of your slides, you had that you're going to have a golf workshop. Is that something that you're going to have people from the community come in and answer questions, or be a focus group for you?
It's just of the management and staff retained by Oakland County. And so we're using the customer survey of over 900 people to give us their feedback. And we're going to go with the staff on Monday starting at 9 a.m. I've got a presentation that's a lot longer and a lot more detailed on how do you make a golf course financially successful. And then we're going to get everyone's input based on the survey that they've already completed. And then we're going to have a consensus on, we're going to recommend, should carts go from $15 to $16? We're going to decide that on Monday. Should the rates for Lion Oaks go from $68 to $75? We're going to decide that on Monday as a team to bring forward to you. Should carts, senior military, adaptive, and veterans get discounts on carts? I think the answer is going to be no, but we're going to bring that consensus recommendation to you so you can say yes or no on March 3rd, okay?
Thank you.
Are there any other questions?
I have one question, Mr. Chairman.
Go ahead, Bob.
Did you say that there are 100 golf courses in Oakland County?
Within your competitive net of we determine a competitive golf course as 80% of customers come from within a 10-mile radius of the golf course. So when we look at something like Red Oaks that's on the border of Oakland County, we're going to go get the courses in the Detroit Metroplex like Rackham is part of the competitive set. So you've got 100 competitors in the marketplace. Same thing on Lion Oaks or Springfield Oaks, Shepherd's Hollows in Charlton, where you live. It's a great golf course, by the way. I played it. That's in the competitive set. That's how we get to 100. Not within the county, but I think there's actually 67 in the county.
Is there any way of tracking where the golfers come from?
The answer is yes. If we had a point of sale system that we had online reservations where we were getting their zip codes and email addresses, I could have dropped, and this is off the point, I just did another study for Green Valley Ranch that holds the Colorado Open. We can tell you exactly where their customers come from because they got 62% of all the zip codes of players. We don't have any zip codes of your players. So we don't know where your golfers are coming from. But there is a way through the proper use of a point of sale system to get that data.
Thank you very much. We do have some of that data for our parks, our other parks, because we know that people come from outside of Oakland County regularly to use our parks and even to camp there when we have campgrounds. So I would think that trying to figure out where they come from or what you might be able to predict, I think would be really critical.
We'll be able to report that to you in 2022 if we get the right point of sale system implemented, used correctly.
Thank you.
Are there any other questions for Mr. Keegan? Well, thank you, Mr. Keegan. We appreciate your report. You did an excellent job. And I look forward to the March meeting to see what we come up with.
Commissioner, thank you so much. And we will be sending the presentation on March 3rd to you at least 7 days in advance because it's going to be 80 slides with lots of data. And we want to make sure that everyone has a chance to look at it and reflect on it and answer those questions that we've given for homework so decisions can be made. Okay?
Very good.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, JJ.
Okay, next item we have on is a report on Waterford Oaks Water Park. Sue.
Just real, for the sake of time, last fiscal sustainability meeting, we went over a very in-depth, detailed report that was to confirm our thought process in studying on the lifespan and investment we would have to put into Waterford. What we would like to do is bring that to the commission March 3rd, as well as we will provide you a copy of the study. The water park was closed last year, but the pictures tell the story.
Okay, thanks, Sue. Does anybody have any questions for Sue regarding Waterford Oaks? Okay, we'll move on to 2020 Communications and Marketing Report and Presentation. And that's Ms. Stanfield.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. Phil is going to I have a couple PowerPoint slides for you, but I first want to direct you to the report for this year is on pages 170 to 227. And for our new commissioner, just give you a brief description of the Communications and Marketing Department. Essentially, we act as an in-house service for all of the facilities, programs, special events, golf courses, etc., for the park system. If you go to a level like a city, village, or township, you may have someone who is actually developing a program, also doing their own promotion of the program. So by having a department dedicated just to that, you have continuity, branding's maintained. You know, we know what we're doing for all the different areas. So that's what we do. So we have a graphic artist, we have a photographer and videographer on contract, and then the rest of my staff does all of the work. Basically, we do everything in-house. Next. We have found through a study that we did with Skidmore Studio in 2016 that the main ways that people hear about Oakland County Parks and Recreation are through three ways. That's your social media, our website, and digital marketing. And so on this slide here, I won't read out loud to you, but you can see the contacts that we had for each. We estimated that we reached 5.5 million people to let them know about the park systems, programs, events, and everything that we have happening. So people are spending more and more time on their devices, phones, tablets, computers, and the average is about 6.5 hours a day. When I started with the park system, we relied heavily on printing and a lot of printed materials, those types of things, but there's been a shift in recent years, just reflecting what society does, that it's more towards electronic and digital. Next. So the website is one of the ways that we communicate to people the offerings that we have. We had about 380,000 total users in the year 2020. Most of our users were new visitors. So there's a way that we can track that. We have a dashboard. So a little over 75% of all our users on the website are new visitors. And then we're also able to track the top 10 pages that were viewed throughout the year. If you can look at the list on the slide, you'll see the homepage listed as number 1. So that's where they would come to land. But also on that homepage, we also have a trail finder. And we all know that trails are the number 1 reason why people visit the Oakland County parks. So that's a popular page. New this year, even though we were open for a short period of time, Holly Oaks ORV Park popped up to the number 2 slot, and camping was very popular this year. With the COVID, I think people were looking for a place to get away close to home, get outdoors, and that type of thing. So the camping was populated high. And then you can see that we have 2 golf courses that were also on the top 10 list. That was Lion Oaks and Glen Oaks. Typically, we do have golf courses listed. In the last several years, Lion Oaks has basically been in the top 5, so that dropped down a little bit. Next. For social media, my department supports Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and a YouTube channel. We have 27 Facebook pages, so essentially there is a Facebook page for every park golf course facility that we have. We did about 1,200 posts, and we also did something with the farmers market where we spotlight the vendors. We find that people that are shopping like to have a connection to the vendors. They're finding out where their food is coming from. We talk about the family business, how they grow it, what they grow, that type of thing. So that's been very popular. And then you can see for Twitter, it was a little over 400, and Instagram about 236. We do boost, which means we put advertising dollars behind some of the posts for key messages. For example, it might be COVID. When we boosted for the millage, if there are flower days at the market, we'll boost that. Marshmallow drop. We really want to try to expand the audience and get the word out more. Okay, so e-marketing, JJ alluded to that. About 8,600 people received that survey. So we have about 33,000 subscribers. Of those, 8,600 are dedicated to golf. And that's broken down by, they have a golf course that they consider their home course, and then just general golf. So throughout 2020, we sent 254 messages for 2.3 million total impressions. And this is a really popular tool for events and also for the Nature Center programming. We're finding that people are not planning so far ahead. They're looking for what's happening with their family. They're watching the weather, if there are other competing things that they want to attend. So those last minute emails as a reminder, don't forget this program, et cetera, have been helpful in getting attendance. Staff and I have just revamped the entire e-marketing list to make it easier to read, and we got rid of some categories that didn't have a lot of attention. And looking forward to 2021, we're adding a foodies category, so we can share recipes, the cooking demos at the market, fall fun for all of our Halloween, camping events, fall activities, those types of things. And then we realized in our analysis that we needed a category for Waterford and Springfield. Those will be added. And we expect that virtual programming, due to the pandemic, will be around for a while. And in some instances, that might even be a better way of reaching out to people. For example, with the senior population, our historian, Carol Egbo, has been doing fireside chats where she talks about history of the parks, and they've been very well attended. So we think virtual programming to some degree will be around for a while. And then another thing that my group helps with coordinate, along with other staff people, are dedications and special events. And the primary reason we do this is to get earned income value. Essentially, we want to get our name out to the press and have them come participate. They can see what the program or the park is about. They write articles. We keep track of the value of the articles, how many people read it. And then this is another way that we can leverage getting the word out without investing. Okay. So going forward for 2021, you can see our top goal is to support the process and the outcome of the golf RFP. And I had put together for JJ a document that talks about everything we've done for the last couple of years for the golf courses. And then also I did a survey with the supervisors saying, tell us your most busy time, what would you like to do differently, those types of things. So that was made available to JJ and the golf staff. And then Normandy Oaks is supposed to open this spring or summer. They're going to have a grand opening. Our park system, thanks to your dedication to this new park in Royal Oak, we're going to help with signage there, some of the natural resources areas. So any way my department can support that, we will. And then the third bullet point is supporting all of the initiatives of the millage. So, outreach, trails, SISMA, and then anything that we do to improve the park system. We definitely want to tell people that, this is how we're spending your tax dollars, and here are the improvements for you. Okay. And that's it. If anybody had questions for me, I'd be happy to answer them. Okay, thank you for your attention. I appreciate it.
Thanks, Desiree.
Yes.
Randy, do you want to go on, please, with the RPS?
I sure can. Bill's gonna launch the presentation. There we go. So I am Brandy Boyd, Chief of Recreation Program Services. I oversee the recreation programs and services area for Oakland County Parks. I don't know if all of our new members are here. This is a wrap-up service from what we did this fiscal year, so October of 2019 through September of 2020. It's not what you would typically see from RPS due to the pandemic. So you can go to the next slide. Our typical focus areas are mobile recreation units, adaptive services. Those are programs for people with special needs. Our active adults, 55 and older. Our programming, events, day camps, outreach, citizen science and natural resource education, revenue center programming, trying to get programs into like the golf banquet areas on off nights so they don't have functions, and then archery. So pre-COVID, we were able to get some of our adaptive dances in. We tried to separate them throughout the county. So we had one up on Waterford. It was our Awesome Autumn. It had 89 participants. We had our Halloween Happiness down in Southfield, which we had 107. We had a hoedown in Novi, which was 98 attendees. Our Jingle Bell Ball up in Waterford was 138. We did a new one last year down in Madison Heights. We got 74 people there. And then we had a superheroes one in Novi. That was one of the last events we had before it started going downhill with COVID. Our active adult programming, we were able in the fall to get some programs in. We do fall color tours. Dashing to the Pass is an event we do. We rotate that around either Glen Oaks or up at Addison, and our historian goes through and gives a story about the facility. She does a story about something to do with Christmas and holidays. And then we also have carolers there, and it's a really great event. And we had 205 people this past year. Well, 19, not 20. The Trailblazer program is, we were able to get 20 walks in. Usually it starts in April and goes through September. But with the restrictions, we didn't start them until June of this year. So our season was a little short, and each walk is paired with a talk, whether it's one of our nature center employees, one of our natural resources employees, Carol, who does our programming for our history. And then our fireside chats, we talked about them earlier, where again, Carol sits by a nice little fire and she talks about the history either of the facility she's at or one of the great stories that she has. If you've never seen one of Carol's presentations, you've got to see it. She is amazing, and she's just an amazing storyteller, plus she's historically accurate. So it's a good combo. Go ahead. Our nature education, we have 2 nature centers. We have Red Oaks Nature Center down in Madison Heights and the Wint Nature Center up at Independence Oaks. This is the one area where we were able to do quite a bit of programming and kind of pivot over the 2020 season. We were still able to do a lot of programming outside in small numbers. Participants and staff wore masks. When we did like our homeschool program, each table had a family, so they could be less than 6 feet apart there, but the tables were all 6 feet apart, so we were able to still do quite a bit of programming. Obviously, our numbers are not where they normally are, but down at Red Oaks, we still were able to serve 31 different agencies with 83 different programs and just under 2,500 people. And then up at Wint, we did 32 agencies, 134 programs, and just over 3,500 individuals were served there. The nature centers were not open once the shelter in place went into effect. They have not been reopened since. Red Oaks is open for bathroom and pass sales only, but the exhibits are closed. And we're constantly reevaluating, what the guidelines are, when we can reopen them, or do we focus on programming outside and into the communities instead of opening the centers. Up at Wint, the bathrooms can be used without opening the center. Red Oaks, that's not the case. So we have the exhibits roped off and people can still come in and use the restrooms. Go ahead, Phil. So some of the things that we did was trail hikes by appointment. So families could come. We did a lot of them on Fridays, Saturdays, and Sundays, where they could make an appointment in small groups who would take out on the trail hike, and they would get a guided hike with one of our naturalists. We did a lot of family outings and programs like seasonal, more craft type projects, or scaling down our badge type programs. We did kayaking and fitness programs, and we did a large series of virtual programming where we did some crafts. So we would pick a theme, and there would be a talk from our naturalists, and then one day there would be a craft, and then the other day there would be an activity associated with. So we tried to do it like on a Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and we had the themes, and I think we ended up doing about 24 or 26 different ones through spring, summer, and into fall. So those were popular. And again, just kind of pivoting on, you know, when you're the department that gathers people and you can't gather people, it gets rather difficult to program, but my staff did an amazing job, team, and they really did get real creative. Mobile recreation, again, we had a lot of challenges of what we could take out, what we couldn't, to be as safe as possible. We were still able to do some inflatables, our Go Venture, the zip line we didn't do. We did some in the fall, but nothing the pandemic took hold. So we had 129 visits and almost 105,000 people. Usually those numbers are up in the 400 or 500 range, and usually we're close to almost 1 million people. So obviously our numbers were quite affected by the pandemic. We were still able to do some of the RAP assistance programs. 17 cities, villages, townships participated still. We had 48 visits and about 18, just almost 19,000 participants in the RAP program. So again, the numbers were a bit lower, but considering what was going on, I think they did an amazing job, and we were able to adapt the programs as best we could. One of the things that we did was Oaks on the Road. You can go to the next page, Phil. And what we did with Oaks on the Road was it was its own program. So we would take 5 stations worth of activities, and we would be able to, they could only have 40 people participate, and we would rotate the stations around between a craft project, 2 activities, a mobile unit, and the fifth station was it was 2 crafts, 2 activities, and then the mobile unit. So they were able to pick a theme and activities that they wanted, and so that was quite popular. We did several of those. We also did those in the campgrounds in the fall because we were unable to do our typical Boo Bash and Hollows at the 2 campgrounds. So we kind of, again, did a pivot of what can we do to help benefit and aid the communities. We did not run our summer camp last year. We are not going to run summer camp this year. Just the type of camp that we run where we have to put the kids on buses and pick them up at different communities. We just don't feel that that's the safest plan for this year or last year. So we really worked on how can we supplement other camps and provide programs for them and into the communities. So it went over very, very well. Go ahead, Philip. Archery, we were able to run archery as well. We didn't start until late June, beginning of July, and then through September. So we had about 100 participants that came through, and a lot of times they would stay for a long time. So we got used to the range, and it was another program that we could do and do safely. We have safety protocols and health protocols for anything that we took out or any activity that we did. Go ahead, Phil. We were able to get a couple of special events in. We did get Fire and Ice in at the beginning of 2020. We did Sugar Rush, which is a community program where we had a life-size game of Candyland. That was up at Springfield Oaks. It was a great program, and we were just getting ready to do it down at Lion Oaks, and that's the day that we went into shelter in place. So that one obviously was canceled. We were able to do 4 drive-in movies where we rented a screen. They amplified it to the radios. Everyone stayed in their cars, and everyone got to see a drive-in movie. It was very, very popular. We have gotten a lot of requests to see if Oakland County would be considered to get one. So we are bidding out the screen and the amplifier right now. And next commission meeting, I will be bringing it to you for, to see if you would be interested in Oakland County having one. I think we would really benefit from using it. Go ahead, Phil. So we had to pivot like everybody else. And so virtual programming was one of the things that we were able to do. We did 24 videos. We did 200 make and take crafts for some of our events that we had, like at the campgrounds that we weren't able to do the full event, but we tried to grab the essence of the event that we could, and we would provide activities and take and makes to the participants. Like for instance, we normally have a Perseus Media Shower event at Addison. We couldn't do that, so we were able to provide, at least some activities and explain what it was. We partnered with the DIA and did a Motown senior luncheon. That was a great program. We had over 200 people log in. We also partnered with the DIA and the Michigan Opera Theater, and what we did was combine the DIA, the DIA had art in the park, so we had several pictures in our park system, so they combined the art and music of that time, and they did a wonderful job. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to see that one, but I heard it was really great. Go ahead. And then another great program that we were able to do is self-led scavenger hunts, and we partnered with different agencies and we put together a scavenger hunt that they had to go and find different clues within the parks, and then at the end they turn in their clues, and they were given a prize packet from us. And we worked with several different communities in Berkeley, Huntington Woods, Pleasant Ridge, that area. We had 364 people. One time we did it 332. In Troy, we had 539. Some of the smaller communities like Hazel Park only had 6, Ferndale 108. So we were kind of all over the board with numbers, but they were very popular and all the communities loved them. And it was something that the families could do and do something safe. So we got a lot of comments back from families that just said, thank you for giving us something to do that's safe and we can get out of the house. So that was very successful. And our our supervisor who did that program did just get an award at MParks today for this. Go ahead, Phil. We did 2 of them in the campgrounds to help supplement some of the programs that we couldn't do in the campgrounds. And then we did a full Oakland County one, which was really cool. It was about 350 people did that, or just under 400 people did the countywide one. And then the campgrounds, we had 350 at Groveland and 165 at Addison Oaks. Go ahead. So it was a year that we really had to think differently and think outside of the box. And I just want to thank my staff for being amazing and creative and really taking it in stride, because we really had to reprogram our whole lineup probably 3 or 4 times as things progressed. So they did an amazing job, and the park system as a whole, I think, just really stepped up in a year that Parks and Recreation was needed the most. I think we did an amazing job, and not just RPS, the whole park system. So I thank you for supporting us in our endeavors.
Well done, Brandy.
Thank you.
Thank you, Brandy.
Thank you.
Okay, any questions for Brandy at all?
Very thorough.
Seeing none, we'll move on to the Oakland County Sheriff's Office Parks Division 2020 report. Sergeant Jennings.
Lieutenant.
It's actually Lieutenant.
Oh, Lieutenant, I'm sorry.
I don't know if he's still on the phone, but his report is on page 228 to 238. And, a lot of great support that they provide for the park system. And as we do our surveys of the residents, that's one of the things that they truly appreciate, is how safe they feel in an Oakland County park, and it's directly a result of what the lieutenant and his staff provide.
Yeah,
Okay.
thanks, and I'm on the call. Thank you for those words. Good afternoon, commissioners. I presented a report to you both on the park unit and the mounted unit, and they are pretty self-explanatory, I guess. I won't go through everything unless you'd like me to, and I'm here to answer any of your questions or concerns.
No, probably not, because we still got a few items yet to go on the agenda. So.
There you go.
Does anybody have any questions for Lieutenant Jennings regarding the sheriff patrol on our parks?
Thanks for your help.
Yep, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Next, we have executive officers report. Dan?
Okay, on pages 239 to 294, kind of an abbreviated report. You've got the upcoming events on pages 241 and 242. Our next commission meeting is on Wednesday, March the 3rd at 2 p.m. And that will be teleconference again. We have our executive committee meeting, the next one coming up on Tuesday, February 16th at 1 o'clock. Another item 3, we've got another grant that we have applied for, and that's looking at possibly $200,000 to help with the Mill Pond Dam removal and restoration project. General Motors is giving us a 2-year no-cost truck lease to support our efforts at Holly Oaks ORV. We've got summer jobs opening up on Tuesday, February 16th. So commissioners, if you know any young people or retirees looking for a summer in the outdoors, we would love to have them apply. Commissioner McGilvery had asked for a update on the Bailey House, and I've provided that there. They are definitely hitting the ground running, and students are working inside the house a couple times a week for a couple hours each day. The Ernst Barn, George Colas, again, the township supervisor for Holly, has a proposal that his board has now approved, and it looks like the Ernst Barn will, we don't have a date when it'll move, but it looks like it will move from here at Waterford out to Holly Township. And on pages 249 to 259 is an annual report that is put out by our fiscal service unit on the fixed assets for the park system. And then an item that's not on here, Sue Wells staff and Commissioner McGilvery will be meeting with Madison Heights officials sometime in the next couple of weeks to look at the current lease that we have with the city for the nature center and the 38 acres that comes along with it, to look at some things that need to be updated and any changes and so on. We definitely will be bringing back to the commission. Thank you.
Thank you, Dan.
Gary?
Yeah, go ahead, Dave. I'm sorry.
Quick question. Dan, what is the proposal of Holly for the Ernst Barn?
That is to relocate it out to their heritage farmstead site on Holly Road. There's no dollars exchanging.
And we've advertised and had no other proposals.
Correct.
Thank you.
Okay, any other questions for Dan on his report? Hearing none, we'll go to the executive committee report. And Dan, I'm going to go to you. I forgot what we talked about.
Again, one of the features of the executive committee is to review the proposed agenda with the executive committee. We talked briefly about Waterford Oaks and the fiscal sustainability group that Sue has led for the last several years, and some of the efforts there. And pretty much it.
Okay, thanks. Thanks for covering for me. Okay, the last thing we got is old business, and that's the Road Commission of Oakland County regarding the easement at Sashbaugh and Oak Hill Road. We have a presentation, I think, from Melissa Prowse and the Road Commission.
Yeah, I don't have a formal presentation, but I do want to point the commissioners to your packets, to page 258 where this agenda item is. We did include the Road Commission's report that they did to study this project to make the determination that the roundabout was the best plan of action there. I see a couple of folks from the Road Commission on the line. It looks like Sam Fitzer and Gary. I'm not sure if there's anyone else. But that report does have, I know there were questions about the crash data for that intersection, which is on page 264 of your packets. And then kind of an analysis of the different options that I know they looked at is on page 265. And then the cost for the different alternatives kind of set up as a net present value chart is on page 272. So you can kind of see the different costs and reasons that they are proposing the roundabout. So at this point, I guess I would just open it up if there's any questions for the Road Commission staff about the project. I know they're here to answer those.
Are there any questions? I have a few. Gary, are you there?
It's Road Commission, Gary, right?
Yeah. Gary, are you there? Don't know if they're there or not. Maybe Nancy can answer for now. I don't know.
Yeah, Gary is there, but I'll be more than happy.
This has been brought back for reconsideration. We voted on it the last time and it didn't pass. And I brought it back up, and I have a lot of concerns. Let me kind of chime in here. I made a point to go out there and look at the site and see what it is that they were trying to do. And I just happened to walk into the party store at the corner to see what they thought, and they were dead set against it. They said that it is a micro roundabout that they're going to put in, that being, I think it's only one lane. And they were concerned that their delivery trucks, the beer trucks, grocery trucks, and so forth, wouldn't be able to get into their parking lot because of it, or it would be very difficult. My question is I'm not sure that there's a need there. After looking at the traffic, I was there at lunch hour. There were a few cars, particularly on Sashbaugh, not many on Oak Hill at all. It's right now, it's a red flashing light, and they want to put in a roundabout at a cost of about $1.2 million. And I'm just not convinced that a red light, which would be far less money to put in, would do just about the same thing. So that's why I have been opposed to it. So any thoughts on it, Nancy, since you represent the Road Commission?
Yeah. Gary's on the line. Look, I will let him answer that. And then I will.
Commissioner Quarles, this is Sam Fitzer from the Road Commission. If I may, I know Gary's having trouble unmuting himself.
Okay. Sam, can you address the chair's question?
Good afternoon, Commissioners. My name is Sam Fitzer. I'm the Director of Engineering here at the Road Commission for Oakland County. So just wanted to kind of address the first comment with respect to cost on, I guess, the agenda packet, page number 272, outlining and comparing the costs between the signal versus the roundabout. Under the, I guess, the NPV of construction costs, our study shows and indicates a signalized intersection would cost approximately $1.7 million, with the roundabouts at $938,000. And these are scoping cost estimates as well. With respect to, the overall cost increase, a lot of which is due to the increased infrastructure needed to feed the signalized intersection, as well as the additional right-of-way impacts that it would have on all parcels on all four corners of this intersection. As it's not shown in this agenda packet, but we'll refer to you to the report that we did share in the Appendix E. In Appendix E of our report, you can kind of get a visual representation of what a signalized intersection would look like versus a roundabout intersection. The signalized intersection requires an additional alignment that would require us to realign aspects of the roadway to accommodate a safe signalized intersection. As our overall report indicates, the roundabout itself not only is more cost effective, but it also provides more vehicle safety with respect to, in comparison to a signalized intersection. I'd also like to note that this project was proposed to the FHWA to warrant the federal funding, and this project was awarded federal aid because of the notion of and the importance of safety that this roundabout can provide to this intersection.
Sam, a quick question. What were the costs again for a signal as compared to a roundabout?
So the scoping cost estimate for the signalized intersection came out to be $1,718,788. Our scoping cost estimate for the roundabout was $938,807.
And tell me the difference between a micro roundabout and a regular roundabout.
Micro roundabout is, as in the name, it's a much smaller impact in size in comparison to a standard roundabout, where a compact roundabout can vary can vary anywhere between 30 feet to 100 feet in diameter, which can accommodate depending on the roundabout itself, can be 1 to 2 lanes that go around the roundabout. A standard or a larger roundabout, or what we often think of roundabouts, are, it can be a minimum of 2 lanes or more.
Okay. Have you had any community meetings with the residents in that area regarding the roundabout?
We have met with both townships, but due to the pandemic, there was no actual public meeting, but we did distribute public information flyers, and we responded to emails and phone calls as appropriately. I'm sorry.
Okay, just so I want to make sure I understand it. To put in a signal, a red and green and yellow signal at that corner is 1.7 million?
That was our scoping cost estimate, yes.
but yet the roundabout is only 938. So you're talking $800,000 less. I find that awful hard to believe. I don't understand that.
Roundabouts are traditionally and are typically a lot cheaper than signalized intersection. Some of that, depending on the site and the location, it could be due to the right-of-way impacts and the property impacts. But typically a large part of it is associated with the infrastructure costs associated with that. So the utility and power that's required to maintain the signals, is the communication and fiber infrastructure that's used to install the CCT cameras at the intersection. And then on top of that, there's additional operations and maintenance costs that both local communities and the road commission also share in to pay for DTE power. Whereas a roundabout cost is usually, minimal to no utility infrastructure. It's only minimal power, electrical power that's needed for street poles.
Okay.
A couple of things, Mr. Chairman. I clipped an article out of the newspaper and forwarded it to, I hope you guys got it for your executive meeting. And I'm not sure where that information came from, but it discussed that corner. And it sounds to me like one of the biggest difference in cost would be having to realign those roads that come in at different angles if it was a traffic signal as opposed to a roundabout. Am I correct about that?
That's correct.
Yes.
Because the roads don't come in the way you would expect they would. When you drive through there, you get it right away. But so when I saw that article in the newspaper, and I didn't get a chance to talk to the writer about it because I knew you guys were meeting, so I sent it on. I don't know if you got it or not, but hopefully you did.
And Chairman McGilvray,
Yes.
on page 278 of your package shows the kind of an aerial with the layout for the roundabout. So that's a kind of a good image to show you the road layout.
I see, Gary, I see you're back with us. Do you have anything you want to add? I guess maybe he's not here.
You're done.
Dave, go ahead.
Just a question on, they sent out 80 some flyers. Was there any consensus back in the flyers there? Did you get his opinion?
So the feedback from the flyers received varied. A number of people. So in total, we received 10 emails, but it varied. Some supportive and some not in support of the project.
No, there was no big consensus. It was only 10 responses.
Correct.
Thank you.
Are there any other questions? Amanda, or Andrea, I'm sorry.
That's okay. Just more of a comment than anything. I'm glad this came up again. I was supportive of it last time because by no means do I feel as a Parks Commissioner a traffic safety expert. So I do trust that when Road Commission comes to us with something that they did some of the due diligence here. I will say there are similarities, right, between roads and trails. People love them and they expect them to be safe, but nobody wants them in their backyard and nobody wants to feel the alterations from them. So I'm just going to reiterate my support again for this. I think they're doing it for the right reasons. Monetarily, they deal with the budgets and securing the funds. So I don't think I have a voice to say anything concern-wise regarding that, but just wanted to reiterate my support for granting the easement.
Hey, go ahead, Dave.
Just one quick comment, kind of, Andrea sparked my thought. I don't like the thought of the road commission designing airports, nor should I tell them how to design roads, is I guess where I come down. I'm sympathetic with that part of it. Thank you.
Mr. Chair?
Yolanda. Oh, I'm sorry. Yolanda, Nancy first. I forgot she had her hand up. Go ahead, Nance.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I will add to the two previous speakers. After our last Parks and Rec meeting, I did have a chance to talk not only listen at a meeting with the engineers and Gary, and I think Gary's back on the line now, and our executive director. And I got a very quick lesson in understanding why for this particular area, roundabout. And much of it centers around safety and how the roads are aligned, and that leads to the cost factor. I won't take you through all the information that they shared with me and my education in roundabouts as opposed to a traffic light, but I left there feeling very comfortable that the roundabout is the right approach. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Yolanda.
Yeah, not to be redundant, but I am a fan of roundabouts. I'm a born again roundabout believer, and just am hopeful to impress upon you guys the environmental aspect of it, where you won't be, there won't be electricity having to be flowed through there. It's also going to minimize any type of ambient light that goes into the atmosphere. Those folks out there are very fortunate not to have a whole lot of city lights like we do down at the southern end of the county. But nonetheless, I just wanted to mention those two things in terms of conservation. I appreciate.
Any other discussion regarding this item? If not, Andrea, do you have something else? Oh, okay, I'm sorry. I saw your hand go up. I thought you wanted. We need a motion then.
I'll motion.
Okay, Andrea makes a motion to approve. Is that your motion?
Yes.
And Nancy? Support.
Okay.
Any discussion on the motion?
Excuse me, Mr. McGilvery, who is the support on that?
Nancy Quarles.
Nancy.
Okay, thanks. Thank you. Move
Do
for
we
a
have a
vote
roll call vote?
on the right-of-way easement. Commissioner Nash. Commissioner Quarles.
Yes.
Vanderveen,
Yes.
Egley, Charles,
Yes.
Herzog,
Yes.
Costin,
Yes.
LaFontaine,
Yes.
Vaughn, McGilvery.
No.
Do we have a quorum? I didn't count the votes.
Motion passes 6-1.
Okay, we do have a quorum.
Okay. All right, and that brings us to new business. Is there any new business? Daniel?
Thank you, Chairman and fellow commissioners. In consideration of the opportunity that's been offered by the County of Oakland to provide a voluntary early separation incentive program, I have decided to participate. The details of my separation will be discussed on Friday, February 5th with Chairman McGilvery and the Oakland County Board of Commissioners Chairman David Woodward. I want to express my sincere appreciation to the Parks Commission and its staff for the 43 plus great years I've had with the Park and Recreation Department. I feel that Oakland County Parks and Recreation Commission is poised for great achievements to provide recreation programs, facilities, and services that will serve the residents of Oakland County for many years to come. I have thoroughly enjoyed working with everyone who has served on the commission and staff, both past and present. It has been a very rewarding career, and I feel that I will be leaving everything in good hands to continue the great work that we've done. So to all of my Oakland County Parks and Recreation family, I sincerely will miss all of you. I'm ready for the next chapter in life, which is retirement. Susan and I have moved to Freeport, Florida, in the panhandle of Florida, and are looking forward to many new adventures there and along the way. So best wishes to all of you. Thanks.
Thank you.
When is this effective, Mr. Chair?
Hey, Dan, she had a question for you.
When is this effective? I guess we'll figure that out on Friday.
Oh, okay. Wow.
Comment, Mr. Chairman. Dan, it's slow sometimes in the panhandle. I'll just tell you that.
Yeah.
Not enough to use, but it does.
Yeah, you can still grow citrus.
That's true.
Congratulations, Dan.
Thank you.
We'll be talking more, but obviously, gotta be done over the years.
And we're gonna try to talk him into at least staying on for 2 or 3 years anyway, so.
Hey, Dan, I was gonna say,
You're gonna have to twist my arm.
They're gonna die.
You'll just have to give up that incentive, Dan.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, there being no further business, is there any other new business?
I see Gary's joined us, Road Commission, Gary.
I don't think he can hear us, so.
Looks like his mic's on.
Anyway, I think that covers everything, so we will stand adjourned until March 3rd at 2 o'clock.
A thorough meeting.
Thanks so much.
Thank you.